Okay, so um, we're diving into the world of Tinder today.
All right.
You sent over a quite the collection of articles and notes on this dating app giant. And honestly, after going through it all, let's just say I'm fascinated and a little terrified all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, for sure.
I mean, we all know the basic idea, right?
Yeah.
Swipe right for yes, left for no. But it's clear that this app it's completely changed how we think about dating.
It really has. It's actually amazing how this little project, it started at a hackathon back in 2012. And in just a few years, it exploded into this global phenomenon.
Right from Matchbox to Tinder. It's like
Yeah.
they really struck a match on something, a cultural tinderbox or something.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the really interesting stuff like the algorithms, the lawsuits, all that, I think it's important to understand how revolutionary Tinder's approach to online dating actually was.
Absolutely. Before Tinder came along, most dating sites were all about these long, detailed profiles. And they used these complex algorithms trying to, predict compatibility based on like shared interests, personality tests, all that.
Yeah, which, let's be real, felt a lot like filling out a job application.
Yeah.
Not exactly the recipe for romance, is it?
No, not really. But Tinder just bypassed all of that. They took this complicated process and boiled it down to one single.
You swipe.
Yeah.
Left for no, right for yes.
Yeah.
It was instant, intuitive, and it just tapped into something, I don't know, almost primal in our brains.
Yeah, and addictive. Seriously, those little dopamine hits when you get a match, they're real.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the swipe itself, right? It was how Tinder turned the whole dating experience into a game.
Exactly. That endless stream of potential matches, the thrill of the chase, the competition, it all played into our desire for instant gratification. And it just created this addictive excitement that kept people coming back for more.
Yeah, it's like having a slot machine in your pocket, except instead of hoping for cherries and bells, you're looking for a cute date. Or maybe even, dare I say it, love.
Right. And it's that gamification, which was undeniably effective at attracting users. That's where we start to see what you might call the Tinder paradox.
Okay, the Tinder paradox.
Yeah.
I like it. Tell me more.
So Tinder's supposed goal is to create successful matches, right? To help people find love and then ideally delete the app.
Makes sense. Isn't that the happy ending we're all hoping for?
Sure, but here's the thing. A dating app, it thrives when its users stay single. The longer someone's on the app, swiping, matching, and most importantly, paying for those premium features, the more money Tinder makes.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's this fundamental conflict between Tinder's business model, which is to keep users engaged and spending, and their stated goal, which is to create successful matches, which would lead to users leaving the platform.
Exactly. It's this delicate balancing act. And some people argue that this paradox is what's led to certain design choices that actually prioritize engagement and revenue over genuine connection.
Like what? Give me the details.
Well, some sources suggest that Tinder's algorithm might be intentionally timing matches to keep users hooked.
Interesting.
Think about it. You're feeling down, you're about to give up on the app, and then bam, you get a notification, someone super liked you. Suddenly you're invested again, more likely to keep swiping, hoping for another hit of that validation.
Oh, wow. So they're playing with our emotions, dangling the possibility of a match in front of us just to keep us engaged?
Well,
That's kind of messed up.
It goes even deeper than that. Remember that article you sent about the desirability score?
Yeah. That's where things get really interesting and a little creepy, if you ask me. So how does Tinder determine who's desirable and who's not?
It's all based on the secretive algorithm.
Yeah.
It takes a bunch of factors into account. Obviously, who you swipe right on matters, but it also considers who's swiping right on you.
So it's like a popularity contest. But instead of votes, it's right swipes.
Exactly. You could say that.
And if you're getting a lot of right swipes from people who are themselves considered desirable, your own desirability score goes up.
Precisely. It creates this self-perpetuating cycle of digital desirability. But it's not just about your swiping habits. The algorithm also looks at things like how long your messages are, how quickly you respond, even how often you're active on the app.
Wow. So they're really watching our every move, trying to analyze how invested we are in finding a match.
You could say that.
Okay, so we've established that Tinder's algorithm plays a pretty big role in shaping our experience. But how does this desirability score actually affect who we see and who sees us? Is it really that influential?
Oh, it can be, definitely. It's like, imagine the app is this exclusive nightclub, right? And your desirability score, that's your VIP pass. The higher your score, the better your chances. The algorithm is like the bouncer, whisking you past the velvet rope. showing your profile to more people, especially those other VIPs, the ones with the high scores. But if your score is kind of low, well, you might be stuck in the back. Your profile's not getting seen as much, making it way harder to actually connect with anyone. Wow, so it's like a digital caste system for dating? That's kind of messed up, don't you think? Especially since most people have no clue this score even exists, let alone how it's calculated or how it's affecting their experience.
Right. And that lack of transparency, it's a huge problem. Critics argue that this whole hidden algorithm thing, it creates a really uneven playing field. And it could even be reinforcing existing biases and insecurities, which is not cool.
Exactly. Because if you're constantly seeing these profiles of people the algorithm thinks are more desirable, it's easy to start feeling like you don't measure up. Exactly. And it feeds into this unhealthy cycle of seeking validation from likes and matches instead of focusing on, building a genuine connection.
It's like they're monetizing our insecurities, making us feel like we need to pay for premium features just to have a chance in this digital dating game. Which, speaking of monetization, let's talk about how Tinder went from being this free app to, well, not so free.
Right. The evolution of their business model is fascinating. So in the beginning, Tinder was all about disrupting the online dating market. It was simple, free to use, a breath of fresh air. But then as they got more and more users, they started introducing these premium features, different subscription tiers.
Yeah, I remember when Tinder Plus came out, it offered those perks like unlimited swipes and the rewind button for when you accidentally swiped left. At the time, it seemed like a pretty good deal, especially for people who were using the app a lot.
And it was a smart move, business-wise. They gave you a taste of the premium experience, got you wanting more, and boom, more likely to spend money on the app. And then, of course, came Tinder Gold.
Oh, Tinder Gold. The holy grail of online dating, right? No more guessing games. You can see who like you before you even swipe.
Exactly. But those features came with a price tag. And not everyone was happy about it. Remember that lawsuit, the one about age discrimination?
Oh, right. The one where older users were being charged way more for Tinder Plus?
Yeah, that one. They eventually settled, but it really raised questions about fairness and whether they were taking advantage of certain groups to make more money.
It's like, we get it. You're a business. You got to make money. But preying on people's vulnerabilities, especially when it comes to something as personal as dating, just feels wrong.
It does. And it's not just about the money. The whole idea of paying for an advantage in dating is ethically questionable. Should love really be something you can buy? Should your chances of finding someone be influenced by how much you're willing to spend?
Right. It's like paying for better cards in poker. Sure, it might increase your odds, but it just feels kind of, I don't know, unromantic. It definitely takes away from the whole idea of finding a genuine connection based on mutual attraction and shared values.
Absolutely. And it reflects this larger trend, this trend where everything in our digital lives is becoming gamified, monetized, optimized for engagement, often at the expense of, authenticity and genuine human connection.
It's true. We're constantly bombarded with notifications, matches, messages, all designed to keep us glued to our screens, spending more time and money on these apps. Even if it's making us feel anxious, insecure, or just generally unhappy.
Yeah, and that's where things get really interesting because it raises questions about the psychological impact of these apps, how they're affecting us on a deeper level.
It's like you're chasing this digital high, right? But then the crash, when it comes, can be brutal. I mean, we've all been there, right? Spending hours and hours swiping, feeling the pressure to have the perfect buyer, the best photos, only to end up ghosted, rejected, or even worse, those matches that fizzle out before they even really begin.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught in that cycle, seeking validation, comparing yourself to everyone else, especially with all these curated profiles and photos. It's like everyone's presenting this idealized, filtered version of themselves, which is just not realistic.
Right. It's like trying to find love in an Instagram filter, but real life. Real life doesn't come with a soft focus and perfect lighting.
Exactly. And that constant exposure to this curated perfection, it can really mess with your self-esteem, your body image. You start comparing, feeling inadequate, like you don't measure up to these impossible standards.
Yeah, that's definitely not a confidence booster, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But okay, we've talked about the good, the bad, and the maybe not so pretty sides of Tinder. So where do we go from here? Is there a way to navigate this online dating world in a healthier way? Or are we all destined to just swipe ourselves into oblivion?
I don't think it has to be all doom and gloom, like you have to swear off dating apps completely. Yeah. They can be really valuable for meeting people, especially these days when everything's so digital. But the key, I think, is awareness. Going into it with your eyes open, understanding the potential downsides, how these apps are designed to keep you hooked, and not letting it get to you.
So, like being an informed consumer, but for love, instead of just swiping without thinking, we need to be more intentional about it all. Who we're swiping on, why we're even using the app, what we want to get out of it.
Exactly. And setting boundaries too. Limiting your time on the app, noticing how it makes you feel, taking breaks when you need them, and remembering, this is crucial, that these apps, they don't define you, your worth, or your chances of finding someone.
That's easy to forget, though, isn't it? Especially when you're constantly getting those messages about boosting your profile or seeing who's liked you. It's like they're always reminding you that you're not quite good enough as you are.
I hear you. That's why it's so important to focus on your own self-worth. Prioritize your mental well-being. If using a dating app starts feeling like a chore, more stressful than fun, that's a sign. It might be time to step back, reevaluate, maybe focus on building your confidence out in the real world for a bit.
Because at the end of the day, finding love, whether online or offline, it shouldn't come at the cost of your mental health, right? It's about balance, having realistic expectations, remembering that these apps, they're just tools, one piece of the puzzle.
Couldn't agree more. And, maybe by having these conversations, shining a light on how these apps really work, demanding more transparency, more ethical design, we can create a better experience for everyone.
That's a great point. Well, this has been quite the deep dive into Tinder, from those early days of swiping right on a revolution to the complex realities of dating in the digital age.
Definitely. It's a story about innovation, ambition, and how technology is shaping the way we connect with each other, especially when it comes to love.
And it's an ongoing conversation, one worth continuing. So tell us, what are your experiences with dating apps? Have you encountered the Tinder paradox? We'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, your swiping strategies, all of it. We're all in this digital dating game together, figuring it out one swipe at a time.